So people love David Fincher, they love Fight Club, they love Social Network, Mindhunter, but what if I told you that all he's wanted to make for the past 20 years was not any of that, but he wanted to make Mank?
Mank, it's Orson Welles. Ready and willing
to hunt the great white whale?
Just call me Ahab.
We're expecting great things. What is it the writer says? Tell the story you know.
God bless William Randolph Hearst.
God bless us, everyone.
Do you always just say whatever you think?
You pick a fight with Willie, you are finished.
Mank. Mr. Mankiewicz.
Mank is the newest film from David Fincher, written over 20 years ago by his father, who passed away in 2003. And this is a biography on Herbert Mankiewicz, who wrote Citizen Kane, along with Orson Welles, or did he? That's kind of what the film's about. The film chronicles Herbert Mankiewicz as he goes through the process of writing Citizen Kane while showing flashbacks of how he got here. How he did in Hollywood, kind of if he ruffled the wrong feathers, he ruffled a lot of feathers. He's a feather ruffler. His alcoholism, Upton Sinclair, William Randolph Hearst, and Louis B. Mayer, and how they all kind of factored into Citizen Kane. Like I said, David Fincher's been wanting to make this movie since 1997. This was originally going to be his follow-up to the film The Game, which means this would have been his third film instead of Fight Club. So he couldn't make Mank in 97 or 98, so he made Fight Club. So if this was made all the way back then, you would not have Fight Club. Maybe you would, maybe it would be very different. We don't know. Maybe if Mank didn't do well, you would have never gotten Fight Club because David Fincher wouldn't be who he is. But now he has a lot of clout in the industry, so they let him make a 1930s-esque black and white film for Netflix, where they just gave him a bunch of money to make a film that's stylized, shot, and looks just like a film made in the late 1930s, early 1940s. They even distort the sound in such a way so it has a very similar sound to the audio that you would get in a 30s or 40s film. The film was shot in 8K, but they low-resed it and de-resed it and changed it to make it look like black and white film. They even put the little cigarette burns, the little black marks. You ever watch a movie in theaters and you notice little black dots in the one corner? That's to let them know to change out the reels. They don't really have that anymore because of digital, but that was something that was very big back in the day. So he digitally added that to make it feel even more authentic. This film is definitely not for everyone. I know a lot of people will watch it just going, oh, I love David Fincher, Gary Oldman's in it, has a really cool cast, I'll check it out. And I think a lot of people will find this kind of boring. If you're not a film fan or somebody that's a fan of film history or history in general, I don't think this is going to be for everyone. But for those that do enjoy that, I think they're going to really love this movie. I really enjoyed this film. Is it the best movie I've ever seen? No. But I think this is very similar to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Well, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was trying to do just live in 60s Hollywood for a little bit. See what it was like to be in 60s Hollywood. I think Mank is doing the same thing, but with 30s Hollywood. You get to live in 30s Hollywood. You get to meet all of these famous people from the 1930s with these different actors playing them. And I thought that was really great. Gary Oldman gives an Academy Award-worthy performance as Herbert Mankiewicz. Every little mannerism he does. And it's even fascinating knowing that he's about 30 years older than Herbert Mankiewicz was at the time of these movies. Because Gary Oldman's such a great actor, you don't care. You don't care. His performance is so great. It doesn't matter what his age is. It doesn't matter that he's too old for the part. Amanda Seyfried gives probably her best performance in a film as Marion Davies, who was a real actress and was part of the inspiration for Citizen Kane along with William Randolph Hearst, who's played by Charles Dance. Different than I thought he was going to be played and might be more true to William Randolph Hearst. I don't really know. There's a lot of stuff for me as a film fan that I just couldn't stop watching. I'll watch again in the same way that I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I do have to confess, I'm not the biggest fan of Citizen Kane. It's one of the most influential films in the history of cinema. A lot of people consider it the best film in the history of cinema. I'm not in that camp. I see why people love it. I've never been that big of a fan of it, but a lot of that movie did things that were completely unheard of at the time. That almost 100 years ago, they were not doing in cinema. There's a lot of techniques that they do that they just wouldn't do back then. And I like that Mank kind of gives you an inside perspective of that. Now, like I said, Gary Oldman's age is a little different. I also heard that there's controversy with the script itself, because the script itself is about how Herbert Mankiewicz did most of the writing for Citizen Kane, and Orson Welles just kind of helped him and bankrolled him. This was a script that was written in the late 90s. There's things that have come out in the past 20 years that have disputed that. That being said, I find this a really fantastic film, and I really recommend it to film fans. I don't know how accurate it is because of that. As a film, as a nice insight into the world of 1930s Hollywood, I think it's great. Like I said, it's not going to be for everyone. If I told you all that stuff and you said, oh, I have no interest in that, it's not going to be for you. It's not going to turn you around. For those that are big film fans, want to see how a movie like Citizen Kane was made back then, I definitely recommend it. Like I said, a lot of these actors give great performances. The actor playing Orson Welles especially gives a really good performance as Orson Welles. And I've seen Orson Welles played by a couple of actors in a couple of different movies, and I thought this was probably the best performance of an actor portraying Orson Welles that I've seen. I would have to give Mank an 8.2 out of 10. Definitely a good time, definitely a movie I would go back and watch, but like I said, I'm a big film fan, I'm a cinema buff, so this is something that's more in my wheelhouse. If this isn't in your wheelhouse, I don't know if it'll have the same effect. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Citizen Kane. Am I out of my mind? What did you think of Mank? Will you watch Mank? Do you have no interest in Mank? Please make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Go back and look at some of the other videos I've done this year. I've done a bunch. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me do next, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.